Hey guys, my first Q&A. I don't know if anybody's following me or not. Just got home from the gym. Thought I'd try this live YouTube thing, see how it goes. I'm gonna leave it up. There you go. There's my buddy Josh. Good guy. We could talk about anything you guys want to talk about, or I could talk about keto. Hey, beers and bottle girls. Hey, Tammy. There you go. Thanks, Josh. What I want to talk about is not only just starting the ketogenic diet and what questions you may have after the first week, or what questions you may have on what to buy. You can ask me anything you want. There's also the other thing on knowing the ketogenic diet and having to explain it to people that think you're crazy. I think that should be addressed. Because I went through it with my wife. My wife thought I was trying to have a heart attack. She saw me eating high-fat bacon and garbage, and she saw me cutting out things that that she thought were healthy, like fruits, and she thought I was just on a one-way track to killing myself, and she literally was worried because, you know, she got nervous. Anyway, I explained it all to her, and has anybody else gone into that same predicament where they had to explain it to somebody? I have a guy at work that I guess he's going through a nutrition course, and he thinks that the ketogenic diet is a bunch of crap, and that a balanced, healthy diet is actually good. And I said, a balanced how? Good and bad foods, you mean? And he's like, no. So I was like, how? I said, what do carbs do for you? And he's like, well, they give you energy. I said, well, so does fat. Fat gives you better energy. And he's like, no. And he says, and scientifically, carbs give less productive energy than what? Question, what's the hardest first step? The hardest first step is to, for one, it's a combination of first steps, Josh. It's, it would be like giving up fruit is sometimes hard for some people. Giving up sugars could be a hard step for you. It really depends on what your addiction is. Giving up pizza was hard for me. Seeing the end, that's the way I look at it, is how to start a ketogenic diet is start from the end. See where you want to be. Do you want to be a lean, trim person? Do you want to, do you just want to feel healthier? Do you want to make sure that high blood pressure goes away? Do you want to make sure your type 2 diabetes goes away? Do you want to make sure, it just depends. It's really, the first step is really so different for everybody. It just depends on you. But for me, it was pizza. For you, Josh, it was fruit. It would be fruit, and probably those Kit Kat bars you eat. And what else? What would be, I'm curious, like, it doesn't really show me who's here. I see comments. Fruit was very hard to quit. I lived on watermelon. Yep. Energy drinks, Josh. All the above I mentioned. Yeah. Yeah. It was cherries. PJB, Burke, cherries. Love them. Oh, I do too. I could probably eat a whole basket full of them in the summertime. But I don't think people should be eating fruit all season long, all year long, 365 days a year. The way I pointed out to people is that animals eat fruit in order to get fat over the summer so that they can live all winter. And mankind seems to be eating fruit 365 days a year, and we wonder why we're getting fat. But then some people will say, yeah, but sugar, fruit sugar is a healthy sugar. No, it's not. It's sugar. If there's a person that's hypoglycemic and they're having a crash, okay, and they're starting to crash because their sugar is so low, what does a nurse or a doctor give to that person? They usually give them orange juice. Orange juice is that fruit sugar, and it will spike your blood sugar back up. So on the ketogenic diet, anytime you spike your blood sugar, you are storing fat. That's what's going to happen. You are, every time. When you spike your blood sugar, sugar is released into your bloodstream. The body then, the pancreas, okay, in particular, the pancreas has to release insulin in order to gather up all that sugar. It's going to then take all those sugar cells and put them in fat cells, and it's going to block you from being able to utilize them. So some people will say, well, I'm just going to go to the gym and burn this off anyway. But scientifically, that's not how the body works. The body doesn't allow you to burn that cell off because that insulin now is blocking you from using that fat cell. So that fat's just going to accumulate. To pay attention to portions of fruit, I do not eat my carb count in the range that works for me. That's awesome. That's exactly it. Sharon, oh, I missed your question. They fade out so fast. I wish they would just stay up. Anyway, if you could ask that question again, Sharon, I appreciate it. Yeah, so people that think that they're just going to burn that fat off and go to the gym, it just doesn't work that way. It's just going to keep accumulating on your body. You will burn some that your body has already stored in your liver and has stored in your muscles, but that's some of the glycogen that your body had. Now, if you're not on glycogen, your body will then store, touch the screen on the left and the comments will show. What is the way to see if you're keto? Oh, a way to see if you are keto. It's a couple different things, Sharon. You're going to feel like this energy and this gift of gab like I have right now. I never feel hungry. I could tell you right now, a couple of ways to check is I use a Keto Mojo. It's a blood test monitor. I actually just tested it just right before I started this. Hold that question, Beers. I just tested my blood sugar, and blood sugar will then show you what your blood is at, okay? When you do the ketone strips in the beginning, the urine strips, in the beginning, they're going to show you when you're ketones, but that's when your body's not using those ketones, and you tend to pee them out. Now, once your body starts to adapt and get more keto adapted, then you're going to start using those ketones that your body's producing, and you're not peeing them out anymore. So that urine strip is going to start reading that you have less and less ketones in your blood, and it's less and less accurate, even though you're more and more in ketosis. Now, with a blood test monitor like a Keto Mojo, I found to be the least expensive, and the strips are the least expensive. When you test for that, you're able to check your blood, and that's going to tell you when you're in ketosis a little more, okay? Now, it's going to basically tell you that you have ketones in your blood system. And that is a sign of ketosis, but it's not as far as you want to go. And it's going to read 0.5 is when you're in ketosis, 0.4 is when you're out, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. You can go up to 3.0, even higher than that. I've been as high as 5.8. Now, if you're a type 1 diabetic, you try not to go over 3.0, but it's really, really hard to even get into the 2s. Trust me, when you get there, you'll see. Most of the time, when you check your ketones through a blood test or a glucometer, you're going to see that you're probably in the low, under 1.0 or above like 1 to 1.9. It's really, really hard for somebody to get into a 0.2 or 2.0 and higher. But, and I guess they haven't figured out, is it actually beneficial to be higher up in ketosis? And they don't know yet. Guys, if you're watching this and I'm doing okay, just give me a thumbs up. I guess he said point. Oh, there's some. Beers and Barbells asked, which test was harder, NASM or ACSM? NASM is very scientific. ACSM, you needed a college education to get at the time. I don't know if you still do. NASM, I think at the time you needed a college education, but I think you could actually get it without now. And I think I had NASM, I had ACSM, I had ISSA, IFPA. I had a whole bunch of different ones. I try to donate to my Google account with my new phone. Big thumbs up. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Thumbs up, Tammy. Thank you. Yeah, so that's how you're going to test if you're in ketosis. Now, if you don't have the money for a blood monitor, you're just going to be able to tell by this. You're going to tell that your energy level's up, your appetite is down. I started this seriously back in February of 2015, and I could tell you honestly that I haven't been hungry since. Not once. I used to get those hunger pains, like when you're just you're just like, oh geez, I skipped breakfast or I skipped lunch, and you're just like, you just have to eat. You can't handle it anymore, and you need to eat. I don't get them anymore. I don't ever feel them, because my body now has 40,000 calories of excess body weight. Even if you're the most lean person, you still have about 40,000 calories of usable energy left. Now, when you're on a carb kind of diet, like a standard American diet, the SAD diet, or the Western diet, whatever you want to call it, you literally have about 1,000 to 2,000 calories. That's it, of really good energy stored up inside you. I'm gonna, but the 578 Experience hat, your hat is an advertisement. My hat's a Marine Corps hat. I mean, it's not Marines. He's going to send me a hat. Is that what you said? You're going to send me a hat, Josh? Anyway, now you made me forget where I was at. Anyway, does anybody have any questions on this? I'm at 12 minutes and I've been blabbering on, and I don't know if I've been making any sense. I'm up and down between 5 and 8 people watching. Maybe I'm not so interesting. I don't know. But all I'm trying to do is figure out what you guys want. I try to help you guys. I try to answer. I try to get good topics. I don't know. What else? What else you guys want to know? You guys can ask me anything. Ask me anything, even if it's not about keto. I don't care. We'll talk about anything. Everybody's shy. Water. How much water do you feel is necessary in a day? Depends on you. The way you want to check it is when you pee, it's kind of weird, but I say pee in, your ex-wife is fine, Josh. You pee into a clear cup. This is if you really are serious about testing how hydrated you are. If your urine is just slightly yellow, just a little bit yellow, that's perfect. If you're peeing clear, you're drinking too much water. If it's a yellow, you are dehydrated, and it will take you about 30 days to get to it. Have a great night, guys. See you, beers. Some of the suggestions for a good fat intake. I do have any more weight to lose. I don't have any more fat to lose. I want to maintain my weight and not lose even more. All right, PJB. The way I look at it, and I used to have a bodybuilder or a personal training business, and it was called Body Right Fitness. And what it did was my whole idea then was basically how I do this now, is I'm going to give you the tools of what you should do and how you should do it properly and how you should maintain and continue to do what you do. See you, Josh. Love you, brother. And to keep doing what you know is right. And what's going to happen is your body is going to get to where it should be for you. It's going to be right. It's going to get to a right weight. It's going to get to a right healthy state. And just by eating that way, your body will, it'll pause. It'll say, this is where I'm going to be. And this is all you have to do. You just keep doing what you're doing. And you're going to listen to your body. On the ketogenic diet, it's simple. You eat when you're hungry. You stop when you're full. If your body is at a healthy state, it doesn't need to repair anything. It's not trying to fight off any inflammation. It's not trying to get rid of any disease that might be trying to creep up, like Alzheimer's might be trying to creep up on you, or cancer, or high blood pressure, or dementia, or you name it. Keto will actually cure you from the inside out. All right, weight loss is just a benefit of the ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet really gets rid of the inflammation. To get all technical, this is what happens. Your body, when you take in glycogen, sugar, carbs, they get put into a cell, okay? when that cell needs to be broken down and used, like say you go and you work out and you exercise and you get to a point of failure, all right? Now, when you get to that point of failure, if you need to exercise again, you wait a couple minutes and the energy comes back. And that process is called ATP. It's an adenosine triphosphate. And what happens is the body takes that cell, breaks it. Now that energy that it broke, that spark of energy, that becomes ATP. That becomes energy that your body can use. All right? But the problem is when it's done with glycogen, now that your wife has seen the proof, does she do keto? Yes, she does, to a point. And she has these pictures of her abs that I could post on my Instagram, and it showed her abs from when she took a picture to when I took a picture. It was 2 weeks apart, and she asked if there was a difference. And if you check out my Instagram, you're going to see the difference. And she also said something that I had never heard of before, and she said she had thigh gap. I don't know if that's too much information to be giving people, but she said since high school she hadn't had thigh gap, and that's what she had after doing the 2 weeks of keto, and that's at home. Now, she is probably about 5 or 6% body fat, so for me to be as heavy as I was very embarrassed to be around her. That's kind of an emotional thing. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, back to the adenosine triphosphate. When a glycogen cell breaks up, that energy that is broken up in a glucose cell, that energy causes inflammation because it leaves all a damaged cell all over the place, and it's just damage and inflammation. When a ketone is broken apart, it doesn't break apart the same way, and it doesn't cause that inflammation. So when you are on a glycogen diet, you tend to have more inflammation in your body. Inflammation then causes diseases, and diseases then feed off of glycogen. For instance, cancer. Cancer feeds off of glycogen. People know this. People know that the only way that cancer keeps growing is through you feeding it sugar and feeding it more glycogen. Now, say you took away all that glycogen. Say you took away any food from anything you wanted to get rid of. You would starve it off. All right? Now, I know that I've heard of 3 hospitals out in Texas that are actually already doing this. And what they're doing is they're prescribing the ketogenic diet to their cancer victims, because cancer cells cannot adapt to ketones as an energy source. Your healthy cells can switch from that glycogen that you were on. They could switch over to a ketone, but cancer cannot. So if you take away the food source for cancer, you take away its food, it starts to die. When my dad was passing from cancer, the doctors stopped all sugar. See, the doctors are catching on. They're not fully telling you everything, because there's 3 ways to cure cancer or to help with cancer victims right now, and that's chemo, radiation, and surgery. All 3 of those make money for the pharmaceutical companies, and they make money for the doctors. What doesn't make them money is to say, change your diet to a ketogenic diet, a no sugar, no starch diet. And it's just basic science. You take away something's food source, it dies. It's just what it is. It's and they're saying it just can't possibly be this easy, but yet it can be. Okay, because the more we've been ingesting sugar, the more we've been eating carbohydrates and getting fatter and everything else, our cancer rates have been going through the roof. Obesity's been on an uprise. Alzheimer's been going crazy. High blood pressure, diabetes. All of this is caused by inflammation and sugar. If the ketogenic diet takes away all those things, it's going to take a lot of money out of those big pharma's profits, and out of those doctors' profits, and out of the healthcare's profits. Now, I'm not telling you to listen to me, because I'm not a doctor, but I'm just telling you what basic science is telling everybody, and that's if you don't want to end up with an inflammatory caused disease, which all of those are, then cut out the sugar, cut out the carbs. Some people don't think they could do it right away, but once you do it, it's an addiction, okay? You're addicted to that sugar. You're addicted to those carbs. And it is a struggle. And I tell people, they always ask, they say, how did you really lose this weight? And I'm telling you, I say, listen, the first month is the hardest month you're going to do. And if you think it's easy, you're not doing it right. All right, because you have to get rid of those carbs, you have to get rid of the sugars, you have to get rid of fruit. I know people are scared right now. He just said to get rid of fruit. Fruit's so healthy. We went over this. You get rid of the fruit, you get rid of the carbs, you get rid of the sugars, and you're gonna, like my wife. Here's what she did. I'm gonna have to read that in a minute, Tammy. She was driving home from work and she smelled sugar cookies. That's what she kept saying. She goes, "Why am I smelling sugar cookies? I don't have sugar cookies, but I'm smelling them." I'm like, because you're fighting your body's addiction to sugar, and it's really just like, it's like that little devil sitting on your shoulder saying, "Go ahead, eat those cookies, eat those cookies." So we went to my favorite grocery store, which was Wegmans. And we're going around, and I'm walking through the vegetable section, and I'm trying to pick up stuff, and I see her walking with the cart around the outside of the vegetable area. And I walk up to her, and I see her, and she's at one of these counters getting one of these freshly homemade cookies. It's like this big. And I see her getting ready to bite into it, and I tap her on the shoulder, and she jumped like she was just caught with like her hand in the cookie jar, literally. So you have to fight that urge. You have to. And I'm not telling you it's easy. It's one of the hardest things to do. And people claim, oh, the ketogenic diet is it's not a good diet because people can't stay with it. And that's the false part. That is false, 100% false. The hardest part about the ketogenic diet is starting it. Once you start it, once you get off that addiction to carbohydrates, it gets so much easier. Like I told you before, my addiction was pizza. I would eat almost a pizza a day. And please, again, if you haven't given me a thumbs up, please give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it, so I know how many people are here, how many people like it. Now, I probably haven't had pizza 5 times in 3 years, and I don't miss it. I don't miss pizza at all. And if somebody were to tell me 5 years ago that you are going to have 5 pizzas in the next 3 years, I said, whatever. You know, I didn't know much about keto then. I knew about the Atkins diet back in the day. I knew that the eating low carb was healthy. I knew that eating high protein back then was probably healthier than eating high carbs. So I did what I had to do then. And the problem is when I did that diet back in the early 2000s, was the Atkins diet. I actually did the high protein part of it, which we now know is probably not the best way to give energy and to correct your high carb addiction. But I was also on this product that I got from GNC called Rip Fuel. And at the time it had what was that called? It had some drug in it, ephedra. I had ephedra in it. And literally my skin, I felt like I was shaking in my body. I'm on my 3rd week, and your videos are helping me so much. Thank you, Elisa. Thank you very much. I was taking that Rip Fuel, and I felt like I was doing this, and I looked like that. And I thought, okay, I'm losing weight so fast, and I'm doing this Atkins diet, and everybody told me how awful it was. And then, you know, people just trying to scare you all the time. People, that's what this video was supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about so many negative people trying to tell you how to do a diet that they don't know anything about. They're like, oh, you shouldn't do the Atkins diet. You shouldn't do, you know, you shouldn't take away carbs. It's healthy. I'm actually, here's an exclusive. I'm actually writing a book right now, and it's with another author. And she has a couple books out already, and hers are about balanced nutrition, mindful eating. She's a very smart person, but we are butting heads at the moment with the keto. She has a belief in the ketogenic diet, but she's still not 100%. She still has that. She still likes to eat all those fruits and vegetables in excess. She still thinks that carbohydrates have a place in your diet, and I'm trying to get through to her. This is my challenge. This is my goal, is to get through to her. If she's watching this, I hope she hears it. I hope she comments. I hope she yells at me for bringing this up. But that's the way it is. I get people all the time saying it's just not healthy. And my doctor, when I first went to the doctor, I was 360 some pounds. My doctor said, you got a fatty liver. You're probably not going to live much longer if you keep this up. Well, yeah, that's a scare tactic, but it was probably very, very true. So what did I do? I went on, I started looking up the different diets. I started looking up the keto diet. That's when I really took my stride on the keto diet, which was 3 years ago. It took me 3 months, and I lost 60 pounds in 3 months. My triglycerides went from 477 down to 90, I think it was 97 or 107. And my doctor looked at me and she was just like, that's amazing. I'm so glad to see that you're actually putting forth effort to lose weight and try to make your blood work better, your cholesterol is better. She said, how are you doing it? And I said, through the ketogenic diet, high fat, low carb diet. And she was like, oh, no, that's a bad diet. And I said, wait, how's the rest of the numbers? And she said, well, your HDLs, which is your good cholesterol, she said, those went up. That's good. Your triglycerides are down. That's really, really, really good, because you were at the level where you probably were going to have a heart attack, and now your triglycerides are better than mine. And I was like, okay, so that's good. And then she said, and your fasting blood sugar, which was 164 at the time, is now 80s, in the 80s, 82, I believe it was. It was literally half of what it was. And she said, did they tell you that you were a type 2 diabetic then? And I said, no one ever said a word. No one told me. She said, well, you're not now. You're not a type 2 diabetic. You're not even diabetic. Your blood is actually better than mine. She said, why don't we just test this again in three months, and we'll check and see how your numbers are again. I said, okay. 3 months later, I lost another 30 pounds. So at this point, I'm down 90 pounds in that first 6 months. And she said, okay, tell me exactly what you're doing. And I started telling her everything. She just started writing it all down. Okay? And this is my doctor at the VA. Unfortunately, the next 3 months went by, and they transferred it out, and I got somebody else. And now I'm going through the same thing with him. He wants to put me on statins because my LDLs are higher. And I explained to him, I said, listen, if my LDLs are higher, but my triglycerides are under 100, that means that those LDLs are not bad LDLs. He says, you're right, but where are you getting this information? I said, all right, just hear me out. I said, if my blood work says my LDL cholesterol is bad, okay, but my triglycerides are really good, under 100, my HDLs are now over 55, how is it that those LDLs are bad? I said, I know that my LDLs are made up of two different kinds. There is a type A, which are these large puffy LDLs, and there's the type B, B for bad, which are small dense LDLs. And now those small dense LDLs, if your triglycerides are high, then that means your LDLs are more of those small dense bad ones. If your triglycerides are low, that means your LDLs are more of a type A, which is those large puffy ones, which are pretty much harmless. Okay? So, even though my LDLs appear high to him, I said, but they're not the dangerous LDL. He goes, all right, so what you're saying is you're just not going to take the statins. I was like, no, man. I was like, I'm not going to take the statins. I'm fine. I get what you're trying to do, but I'm thinking outside the box for you, Doc. That's all I'm doing. I'm letting you know I know what those LDLs are because I know my triglycerides are down. I know my HDLs are up. And I know that I read the Keto Clarity book, and I read the Cholesterol Clarity book written by Dr. Eric Westman and Jimmy Moore. And I'm telling you, I understand cholesterol probably almost as much as you do at this moment. I didn't really say that part, but I was thinking that part because I really felt like I knew what I was talking about to him. And I knew how to address his question, and he accepted it. He did accept that. He was like, all right, that's fine. He said, but just remember, I did ask you to do statins. And I was like, that's fine. I'm okay. And the way I see it is I'm still losing weight. I'm still getting healthy. I'm not that, if you've ever seen that picture of me before when my neck was out here, my face was out here. I didn't have any veins in my arms. I didn't have any muscle tone. My leg hurt all the time because the prosthetic limb. I kept having to change the size of my leg. Kept having to get a different leg all the time because my size wasn't coming down properly. It was a mess. So I had to take control of my life, and that's what I ended up doing. All right. 4 more minutes of questions from you guys. If I could answer some of them, I'm sorry I babbled on. Do you have a mentor or someone you enjoy watching that gives good advice as regards to keto? For me, you're one of them. I also follow low carb. Pauline, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I have a couple people that I enjoy. Tom DeLauer is one that I really, really enjoy. He's very scientific. He really explains why to do the ketogenic diet. I like Keto Connect. They're a little quirky, a little weird, but they're always consistent with what they do and what they say. But they do try to recreate a lot of other things, and they have a lot more things like that. Couple others that I like. I like Jason Whitrock because he lives keto. He shows exactly how keto can work on the body and how it could develop muscle, how you could stay so fit. And Goody Beats, he's also one of my ones that's really good. And he could really, really show, he shows you how he went from a heavier guy to this really toned guy. Now, there's a couple things I don't like that he does, like that keto meal stuff. I'm not really keen on that. The jury's still out for me, but it is what it is. Crazy Keto Girl is awesome too. She is awesome. She has lost 120 pounds. I follow her. She's funny. She needs subscribers. I did shout her out. I think she is at a goal to lose 300 pounds. She is, I believe she is probably one of the ones that you want to follow for the longevity, because a lot of people are going to get to that, get into this, and they're going to want somebody that's not just already been there. Like me, I'm still on my journey, and she really is too. And you're going to see changes in that girl that are going to inspire you. And that's what a lot of people need. They don't always need the guy that has the shirt off all the time and he's just constantly ripped, because you just wonder, did he ever have any fat issues before? Now with me, I struggle with fat all the time. It consumes me. I get so frustrated with gaining weight and everything else. Yeah, I watch her. But as you watch her, you're going to watch her get thinner. And the thing about YouTube, go back and look at some of their first videos. Look at some of mine just 3-4 months ago, and you're going to see a difference in how I look then to how I look now. And that's how you're gonna get even more inspired, because during that time you started watching them to where you are now, maybe you could have had those same results. Let me see if there's anybody else out here that is Dr. Berg. I like Dr. Berg. Dr. Jerry Berry? Dr. Jerry Berry? I never heard of him. Sorry. Dr. Berg, he's very technical. He's very awesome. Low carb under here in Australia. Oh, of course, I love Australia. You know that. I wear my Australian hat all the time. Let's see. I love Australia. I'm gonna actually live there someday, part time. You watch. You and I are gonna go have a. I know Foster's isn't really Australian beer, but I guess we just might someday. When your dad was passing from cancer, the doctor stopped all sugar intake. Oh, that's one. Yeah, Tammy. Were you scared that your BP would go up at first? Tammy, I was scared that my blood pressure was already up. I was taking medication for my blood pressure. Then she said, Your blood pressure is low. I said, I haven't been taking blood pressure medicines for probably 2 months. And she said, here's what I want you to do. She said, I'm going to give you one of these blood pressure monitors, and I want you to keep track of it. All right? And I want you to report back to me, but I want you to take the medication. So I took the medication, and what happened was my blood pressure was like 90 over 40, 90 over 50. And I called her and I told her, I said, all right, here it is for the last 3 or 4 days. Ba-da-da-da. And she was like, stop taking the meds. You don't need the meds. I was like, okay. So then now my blood pressure is probably about 110 over 70. I guess that's probably the new normal now. It used to be like 120 over 80. Some of the standards you want to be at. You want your blood glucose sugar to always be under 100. These are my last couple tips. You want your blood pressure to be 110 over 70, right where I'm at right now. You want your HDLs to be above, I think, 45. You want your LDLs to be below 150. You want your triglycerides, I could be wrong on this one, but below 100. What else do we want? I think that's probably it. Hey, Carly Taylor. Listen, if you haven't given me a thumbs up, please do. I'm ending this in about 15 seconds. I don't know what YouTube does, if they post this thing or not. Yeah, triglycerides below 150. I keep mine below 100. I'm all good with that. I want to thank everybody for watching. I will try and maybe do this again. I don't know how good I am at it, but I will try it again. And I hope to see all you guys again soon. Okay, thanks. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.